Hello, everybody. My name is Sean. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Magic. Today, let's dive into the topic of authentication, the missing Lego piece in Jamstack. I was first introduced to Jamstack via this tweet from Tom 2 years ago, that within 5 years, developers will be building large-scale, fully featured web applications with Jamstack. Fast forward 2 years, there has been a proliferation of Jamstack projects and companies, and we've come a long way in terms of enabling a variety of amazing functionalities on top of the Jamstack, including more options for application frameworks like Next.js and Redwood.js, deployment platforms like Vercel, databases like FaunaDB, and headless CMSs like Strapi, as well as many other third-party integrations in the area of e-commerce and communications. We're well on our way to enable the future where Jamstack is at the core of the next generation of fully featured, robust, and large-scale web applications, with a significant reduction in the amount of code developers have to write to enable it. Besides more functionality, there has also been a proliferation of different ways to manage user authentication from various projects, as it is required to provide data and services to applications and users. This may actually complicate things though, as they're not necessarily designed with the application frameworks in mind, causing fragmentation and making it very tedious for developers to learn and integrate many of them in their applications. Many developers would have to roll their own authentication solution, which can be extremely expensive and challenging to maintain, scale, and keeping it secure from cyber threats and compliant with various regulations as their application's user base grow. Here's where Magic comes in to fill the missing piece, providing standardized user authentication that is tightly integrated with application frameworks like Next.js and Redwood.js, which can drastically simplify the overhead of implementing user authentication and integration across different login providers and services. We at Magic are committed to enabling a passwordless future because passwords suck. No one wants to memorize yet another password when our heads are already packed with them. Passwords are a huge attack vector for security breaches precisely because it puts the burden of choosing a unique and secure password on the user who just can't be bothered with it. We end up having one password for all the important stuff like banking, work, and school, one for social media, and one for all the miscellaneous one-off services we don't care too much about. The result is that a whopping 59% of people reuse their passwords across services, which means a data breach anywhere quickly becomes a liability for the entire web. Over 93% of all breached records happened in the last 8 years alone, and it's only speeding up. The era of password-based security is over. It's super stressful too for the end user because every failed login attempt is a step closer to a locked up account. The stakes of figuring out which password we used are so high that frequently we admit defeat before even getting to the third try. Existing solutions on the market are too contrived and unwieldy. After all, a password manager is just a notepad where you use one password to guard your other passwords. In the middle of one login experience, users are asked to visit another app, log in there, locate the credentials associated with the service they're trying to use before they can even proceed. Between choosing, recalling, forgetting, and ultimately resetting passwords, logging in has quickly become the Beckett play of the internet. Supporting passwords is a nightmare for developers too. They need to be encrypted, salted, hashed properly before they can even be stored. Not to mention the upkeep of maintaining account reset features and all the business resources allotted to the event of a security breach, every one of which continues to erode the already tenuously kept trust on the internet. The business impact of password-related incidents are also immense, where 48% of customers never come back after a major breach. Companies suffer from overwhelming support tickets where 50% of them are password resets and login issues, costing an average of $70 per ticket. And lastly, lost revenue opportunities, where 1 out of 3 shopping carts are abandoned due to forgotten passwords. Going passwordless solves all the problems above and is socially responsible by stopping password-related breach at its source. Instead of contriving password strength validators, maintaining reset flows, and dreading PR nightmares of security breaches, websites should just log users in with a one-time link sent to their inbox. Let's face it, for better or worse, the entire security model of the web is already based on email. We already verify accounts with emails. Just imagine checking your inbox instead of struggling and failing to recall a password. The result is an internet that feels just a little cleaner, without all the fussing over secret phrases that can compromise account at moment's notice. And this is what we do at Magic. We're building a simple plug-and-play passwordless auth that is radically better. With just a few lines of code, you can support a variety of login methods, such as magic links, social, SAML, and even WebAuthn, on top of almost every software stack, taking care of developers' use case from start to scale. We obsess over the developer experience. Logging users in should feel simple and pristine, as if you had wrote the authentication yourself. No need to fiddle with unwieldy dashboard configurations until you're ready to ship. Very little setup is involved in getting started on the front end, and we also offer a robust admin SDK that makes integrating your backend servers super painless. To ensure reliable email delivery, we strive constantly to maintain the best sender reputation and deliverability for everything we send. We also select multiple mail service providers based on delivery performance of transactional emails. Our redundancy failover mechanism ensures that service interruptions to mail providers don't keep links from being delivered on time. Magic handles your authentication overhead, so you can focus on what matters most to your business. To further secure our passwordless login, we have also developed an anomaly detection system which blocks malicious logins based on usage patterns. On top of that, we've acquired a SOC 2 compliance and service level agreements, and we'll be making integrating multi-factor authentication to your app a breeze. We at Magic believe that developers should own their brand and user experience. Magic lets developers apply themes and customizations to their user authentication experience, or completely white label it. Developers can also leverage our internationalization support to help expand their reach to users across the globe. On top of that, Magic's user interface is also built with accessibility requirements in mind, which is super important for enterprise customers. Magic aspires to be the one auth SDK that connects to everything, like the segment of auth, aggregating and simplifying the integration of multiple login providers on the client side and seamlessly connect to developers' very own backend, databases, and other third-party integrations like payments and e-commerce platforms. It's non-trivial to do this in a clean way while keeping a simple developer experience. So how does Magic do this? Before we start, let's do a quick refresher on how traditional authentication flow is implemented. It all starts with a single user setting a password, a secret supposedly only they know. Users will be using this password to prove that they're who that they say they are to developers' applications. Users then hand this secret to developer servers, completely entrusting them to handle it properly. Normally, it's hashed and salted and gets stored in developers' databases. And every time user logs back in, the password secret is sent to the developers. User identity resides not just on users' hands, but also developers as well, which creates a risky single point of failure for high-stakes applications and ones that are growing rapidly, making stored passwords a huge liability for data breaches. Instead of using passwords as secrets, Magic does this by abstracting user identities as public-private key pairs. When a user successfully signs up or logs into a login provider, Magic either generates or loads a key pair onto the browser into an embedded iframe that is inaccessible to the developers in order to protect the user's private key. To further improve security and trust, these keys are generated on the user's client instead of Magic servers. So technically, users own their identity, and Magic won't be able to see those secrets. The Magic SDK then uses the private key to generate an authentication token called the Decentralized Identity Token, or DID token, which implements W3C's standardized identifier standard. The DID token is then passed to the developer server side, and the public key or the user identifier can be easily derived from elliptic curve cryptography, which is abstracted away in our admin SDK. Note, neither developer or Magic will be able to see user's secret. The private key, this is a cool new way to log users in called zero knowledge proofs. In addition to the security and privacy benefits, the elegant part of this solution is that passwords and third-party services only have to deal with the DID token, which is an open standard, to authorize users instead of having to learn and implement every single login provider that is supported. Hence, the segment of auth, and making Magic solution highly extensible. Magic believes in an internet of people, not credentials, and fights to safeguard the trust between users and internet services. This is becoming increasingly more important, especially in a world where more and more people are going online, where internet services are becoming the necessities, while user trust on the internet is eroding. Magic does not strive to be a centralized identity provider. We're not interested in becoming yet another monolithic data collection entity with tendrils around everything from your usernames, addresses, credit scores, to dating preferences. We provide the necessary infrastructure to authenticate and authorize users to applications and services, and that's it. And to date, Magic is securing millions of requests per month from trailblazing companies. And this is done by our world-class team we've assembled that build products used by millions, spanning many industries from dev tools, infrastructure, and security. And we're just getting started. We're absolutely thrilled to be part of the Jamstack ecosystem, introducing easy and affordable authentication as one of the Lego pieces. We believe with Magic authentication, we'll help unlock more feature-rich applications built on top of the Jamstack, and onboard more mainstream developers into the ecosystem. You can learn more about Magic from our website at magic.link. Check out our documentation, as well as many awesome guides on how to use Magic with various tech stacks. And follow us on Twitter at magic_labs. Thank you very much.